Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. Thanks so much. This is a midweek check-in, I think I'll call it. I just want to make sure that my mic was working right. I've been doing some moving of equipment here to the studio, then back, and I wanted to make sure everything's been working right. I feel like that's part of my problem is moving things around. So let's give a shout out to Podium Studios. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this evening. I do have an actual show, so I'm not going to just sit here and long-winded. I do actually have a show. So that's some fun stuff. And I didn't want to save it till Sunday. And just make sure everything works right. What's going on, Shara? Good to see you, Sister Grace and Peace. What's going on? There he goes, wholehearted Christian. Hey, if you don't mind, man, drop your link to your channel in the chat so we can make sure that we double back around and make sure we follow you and support good Christian content creators, if you don't mind. So tonight, low key, I have an agenda. I have some things I want to talk about. It's a couple of video clips I want to share from some other good Christian content creators you may or may not have seen. So I want to expose you to those and hopefully have some good discussion. And if you want to talk about anything, hey, we'll feel free to talk it up and chat it up a little bit, talk about some fun things and such like that. What's going on, Q? How are you, friend? Grace and peace. Now, before I get too far afield, I need to make sure that the audio works. So I'm gonna drop a link. I'm gonna drop a video in here, and it's out of sync again. No way, Shara. Your audio is out of sync again. I'm telling you, man. StreamYard, we might have to break up. That's very disappointing. Extremely disappointing. Un momento, por favor. All right. Y'all, Marshall Johnson be giving me allergies. Y'all, Marshall needs to stop emailing me. Oh, man, this audio is terrible. All right, let me see if I can fix this. 1 second. Sorry about that, y'all. StreamYard, it might be over. This might be the end of it, StreamYard. This might be the end. Wow. All right, so hopefully I'm back. Hopefully also my audio and my video are caught up with one another. Prayerfully they are. So let's see. Marshall, you on punishment, man. You can't send me any more emails. No more emails from you, Marshall. I'm sorry. I can't take any more from you. It is in sync. Praise his most holy name. It is in sync. All right, maybe it's the Podium Studio up in the top right. If you don't subscribe to Podium Studios, please help a bugger out. Please help me out. Check out Podium Studios. That is my content creating studio that I spend a lot of my time at. Like, I didn't realize how much time I spend there. Marshall, I don't even know why you laughing, dog. I don't even know why you laughing. I'm not even looking at your text anymore. No more. But yeah, so Podium Studio is my content creating studio project I've been doing, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. If you ever want to get a master's degree in any type of subject, start a business, and just all the stuff you got to learn, from the financial aspect to the equipment aspect, fill in the blanks. There's so much Yes, Podium Studio does have its own YouTube channel. And matter of fact, Willie Doc, you've been on it several times. Let me drop that link in there real quick for y'all. Help me out here, grow my channel, let people know that this is what I'm doing. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm having a blast. So I will say that working in this, doing this project of starting your own business, particularly in this area, has been a real joy. And I've learned a lot. So hopefully you all will check it out. I love it. But let me get my videos back up, make sure, since I shut that down, let's see if my videos are still here. All right, let us see. Grab my video for today. This is gonna be fun. So, okay, no, I'm not gonna talk about the Birmingham, the brawl at the lake thing. I can't do that one. I can't do that one yet. So we're gonna have to take that one down a square. Marshall, I have to admit, I don't know much about it. Marshall was literally texting me about it before I went live. And I was like, dude, what in the, oh, it's Montgomery. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend my Birminghamians in the house. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend y'all. Please don't take offense. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. But it just looks crazy. It looks like a crazy story. So I do want to read, I just kind of want to understand what happened. I have to admit, I'm not keeping up with everything because I got a lot of stuff going on. So I didn't realize how much time that studio was going to take. And so it truly is taking a lot. Wait, Carmen, what'd you say? Carmen said, Allie Beth Stuckey mispronounced Vivek's name in an interview with him today. So I'm in good company. Okay, there we go. Now, if I could get Allie Beth's, subscriber base, I think I'll be good to go. But in the meantime, I'll, hey, we'll hang out. I love it. Okay, it was Montgomery. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I know Q is from Birmingham, and y'all, yep, you did. Y'all got the young lady that was like faked her own kidnapping. Yep. I don't know what it was, Eric. It's like some kind of melee at the Montgomery water park or something, or at the lake. I don't know. So that's why I'm gonna leave it alone. However, tonight I want to look at a couple of YouTubers. One of them is Donnie Lamons from What Shall I Cry Ministries. And I just realized my lights are out behind me. See, that's why I do this, so I can make sure stuff gets working. So I have no idea why my lights are out behind me, but it is what it is. So Donnie Lamons runs What Shall I Cry Ministries, an excellent Christian YouTuber making much of Christ. And he did like just this montage segment. He talked about a show which I had never heard of before, and I'm trying to get the link to it. It's actually an alternative to The Chosen. Go figure. So we're gonna look at that. We're also gonna talk about a really dumb meme. I'm gonna bring back Today in Memeology. And Donnie said, I think it's called Today's Dumb Meme or something like that. That's what he's calling it. It's actually pretty funny. And then lastly, he talks about, should Christians use preferred pronouns? Very interesting discussion about should we as believers, and why we should consider what we do as relates to using preferred pronouns of people who don't want to subscribe to what God is, how God has made them. All right, so I'm going to bring this in to the chat. Let's, if you could please let me know that you can hear it.
Back to our story.
All right, are you able to hear that? All right, I'm gonna just let Donnie play for a second.
If you're as disappointed as I am with The Chosen, then I might have a good alternative for you. It's called The Gospel of John by Lumo Productions. They've actually done all 4 Gospels. It's a word-for-word reproduction.
Okay. I want to make sure before I get too far away. Last time I did that, I got too far afield. Can you all hear that? And nobody's answering yet as of yet. If you can, I think I found that video too, by the way. Oh, here we go. Got it. Can you hear that okay? I see a lot of people going back and forth, a lot of family reunion, but can anybody tell me if they can hear the video? That's what I want to hear.
Now, back to our story.
Okay, perfect. Thank
If you're
you,
as
Shara.
disappointed,
Thank you, Shara. Okay, I'm gonna drop the link to the video that Donnie is referring to in the chat. I just found it, and I thought it was really encouraging because it's the gospel, what the chosen wants to be when it grows up, I think. So let's let it roll. Let's go, Donnie.
as I am with the chosen, then I might have a good alternative for you. It's called The Gospel of John by Lumo Productions. They've actually done all 4 Gospels. It's a word-for-word reproduction. The text is narrated, and the actors portray what is narrated. It's got good production value. It's filmed on location in Palestine with locals, so it has a real authentic feel to it. And they went the middle of the road route regarding Jesus' hair, if you notice. In every production of the life of Jesus, he's either got really long hair or really short hair. Well, the producers here decided to split the difference, I guess. Did you see what I did there? Right, that split the difference, split hairs. You're a little late, Brad. But the best thing about this production is that it is a word-for-word retelling. So you have the Word of God, and the actors are merely mimicking what is being described in the text. So you're actually reading the Bible when you watch it. Here's a clip from the Gospel of John. I've left a link where you can watch the whole movie for free here on YouTube.
Now Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that he was...
So this is the Gospel of John by Lumo Productions, and I thought it was actually really beneficial. So let's peep it out, people. Let's go.
gaining and baptizing more disciples than John. Although in fact it was not Jesus who baptized, but his disciples. So he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon.
Okay, I see y'all commenting. Okay, who said that? Okay, what was the proper way to baptize? I've always thought that baptism was, baptizing backwards. But how do we know that was that the right way? Is that the way that baptism took place? I don't know. I don't think any of us know. Anyway, get out of here, man. All right, let's go.
When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father, Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water, welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, Give me this water, so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw.
So before I just let this thing just play, because I think it's amazing, I do think I really like the fact that it's just scripture. So these people are just acting out and mimicking, as Donnie said, what the scriptures are actually saying. So there's no extra added, no extra hoopla, no extra shenanigans that the Chosen has done. I think that's already a plus, a huge plus in their category. Prayerfully more people will be able to watch this. I think it seems like a really great production. Let's go.
Water. He told her, "Go, call your husband and come back." "I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true." "Sir," the woman said, "I can see that you are a prophet.
Uh-oh.
Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you Jews claim that the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem." "Woman," Jesus replied, "believe me, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming, and has now come, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth. For they are the kind of worshippers the Father seeks. God is Spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the Spirit and in truth." The woman said, "I know that Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us." Then Jesus declared, "I, the one speaking to you, I am he."
All right. That was a great, and there's a good question right here. Curious, let me back this out here. Curious if it is a word for word, and this is from Mary, a good friend of the channel, and that's my mom calling, good friend of the channel. Curious if this is a word for word scripture, why do we need to watch people who are actors? Why not just read and be satisfied? Just asking. And I think that's a valid question. There are a lot of people who are visual learners. And so, yes, you can read it. And I do, that we're not saying that you're not even going to read it. We're just saying like a visual sometimes just adds a little bit to it. Now, being the fact that from what I've seen so far, they're attempting to be very faithful to the actual text. So they're not adding to the text. So it's not like the actors that we see in The Chosen or other Jesus or biblical movies sometimes where they're actually adding to what's going on in the story. That's not what this is. They're just literally acting out or mimicking what is being read by the scriptures. So that being the case, I see that as different than a true acting out or a, like the Passion of the Christ or something like that, where you have a movie where they're literally adding scenes to it or adding complexity to it that's not actually in the scriptures themselves. That's it. But great question though. I like it. All right. So that was it. And hopefully I dropped the link and I'll drop it again in the chat. If you have an opportunity, I think it would be great to support this YouTube channel and let them know that you appreciate what they're doing, especially if you find it faithful and you find it encouraging for your visual learners in your family, or maybe just a good way to have another discussion and just bring the scripture to bear just another way. Because we do have more means than just reading now. We have other ways to tackle it and to bring it to the forefront of other people. So that's it. Oh yeah, Donnie's a great channel. I love him. Wait, sorry, I missed that. Donnie is a great channel. Mary, thanks so much. Yeah, I think it'd be good to, have some good discussion with the fam. I think it's great. All right, so that was our first segment. I'll put like a little commercial break in here. All right. I thought this was hilarious.
Next up, a segment we're calling Dumb Meme of the Week.
Use your words and say how you feel.
Okay, so the meme says, teaching children about frogs isn't grooming them to be amphibians. Reading a book about Mozart won't transform your kids into a child prodigy. Acknowledging that some kids have two dads isn't trying to make them gay. It's helping them to learn about the world around them. Well, first of all, frogs are amphibians, yes. When you tell a child that a frog is an amphibian, you are making a true statement, a statement that conforms to real, verifiable reality, to the world around them. But telling a child that some kids have two dads is a false statement. A human cannot have two dads. It's an impossibility. So, second, reading a book about Mozart might actually inspire children to excel in their chosen profession, perhaps to become a great composer. It is possible to be a great composer. Mozart proved that. What's impossible is to have two dads. No matter how much you inspire a child to have two dads, it will not happen. So two of these things actually teach children about the world around them, and the other does not. Frogs are amphibians, yes. Mozart was a great composer, yes. Some people have two dads, no.
We will be right back after this special message.
All right, I just thought that was really good. I thought Donnie did a great job of breaking that down into something that was understandable. Like, hey, this is why we don't play that game with the people that want to play that game. One, as Willie Doc said, one of these things is not like the other. That is correct. And a lot of the time they want to make things like the other when in fact they truly are not. Those are not the same things at all. I'm going to switch screens actually and see if this maybe stops that little glitch that's been popping up in there. So let's give it a shot real quick.
After this special message.
Can you real quick let me know if you hear this? I just want to double check, make sure we can hear it. Okay.
Impossible is to have two dads. No matter how much you inspire a child to have two dads, it will not happen. So two of these things actually teach children about the world around them, and the other does not. Frogs are amphibians, yes. Mozart was a great composer, yes. Some people have two dads, no.
We will be right back after this special message.
All right, so I just want to double check that you all could hear that the second time. And before we get too far gone, yep, you can hear, perfect. All right, this is a very troubling one, if you will. This one was really weird, and it is Dallas municipality, the government in Dallas, Texas, and if you don't use someone's preferred pronouns, it's just interesting to listen to. So let's go.
Texas City Council mandating use of preferred pronouns upon threat of termination. Employees of the city of Dallas, Texas must use people's preferred pronouns or risk termination, according to recently publicized documents. An internal document titled Workplace Gender Transition Protocols and FAQ explains the city's expectations for conduct regarding transgender individuals. The guidelines explain that gender transition can refer to a spectrum of situations, all of which are equally protected. The document reads, transition may include coming out, telling friends, family, and coworkers, changing the name and or sex on legal documents, and or accessing medical treatment such as hormones and or surgery. City employees are expected to respectfully use the transitioning employee's preferred name and pronouns regardless of whether or not they believe in, approve of, or accept an individual's right to be transgender or undergo a gender transition, according to these guidelines here. It adds, an employee has the right to be addressed by the name and pronoun of their choice. Are addressing the employee by their chosen pronoun is a sign of respect for them as an individual. The document claims that refusing to respect an employee's gender identity by intentionally referring to an employee by name or by pronouns that they do not correspond with The employee's gender identity is a form of discrimination and harassment. Failing to follow the city's protocol is grounds for an internal investigation and may be disciplined up to and including termination. Fox News Digital reached out to the city of Dallas for clarification on whether one may be excused from the behavioral guidelines on sincerely held religious convictions. The city of Dallas is a safe and welcoming place for all residents and employees. The city government told Fox News in an exclusive statement, the city prohibits discrimination and harassment of employees based on a protected category, including race, color, age, religion, sex, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, genetic characteristics, national origin, disability, and military or veteran status. Violations of these longstanding policies may result in disciplinary action, the message added, failing to clarify how the intersection of gender identity and religion convictions is handled there.
It's coming. A blind man.
Okay, before Donnie explains, so hopefully you see the city of Dallas in the government has decided that if you don't use someone's preferred pronouns, you are harassing them and being disrespectful and even violence. Like, that's going to be crazy. So Donnie's going to explain and kind of tease it out a little bit more. I thought he did a fantastic job, so I don't even want to interrupt him. So I apologize for even doing that. Let's get Donnie back in here. Hopefully I did that right, which I did not, because of course I didn't. All right, let's go, Donnie. Let's see what you got to say.
Can see it. The day is approaching when it will be a crime to refuse to acknowledge someone's preferred pronoun. It will not only be called hate speech, as it was called in the video we just watched,
right,
but an actual act of violence. And the government will respond with legislation accordingly. So the question is, what is the Christian to do should such a law be passed? Should we obey it? After all, aren't we called to be law-abiding citizens? Well, we are in Romans 13, but if we back up to the first chapter of Romans, we might get a little more clarity on the answer to the question. I've started at verse 16 because Paul begins this section with a contrast.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, but the righteous man shall live by faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth in unrighteousness.
Paul says the gospel reveals the righteousness of God in the faith of those who believe. So what we believe about God reveals the righteousness of him. But he says that the wickedness of those who suppress the truth reveals the wrath of God. So what the wicked believe about God actually reveals his wrath. Wow. So what specific truth is Paul talking about that is being suppressed? They're suppressing the truth about God. They're suppressing it, Paul says, not denying it, but suppressing it. The idea is that it keeps coming up in their minds and they keep pushing it back down. A good illustration that is often used is imagine a person in a swimming pool with a beach ball and they're trying to hold it underwater. They have to keep pressure on it. If they let up just a little bit and it comes back up. This is like the knowledge of God that has been placed in every person. You have to constantly hold pressure on it to keep it down. It's a lot of work,
Yeah,
exhausting work. And yet they continue to do it and wear themselves out doing it.
Because that which is known about God is evident within them, for God made it evident to them.
God has made himself self-evident, as self-evident as the nose on your face, or as he's going to argue here, your gender.
For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. For even though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks, but they became futile in their speculations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
Although they knew God, they did not honor him as God. They did not give him the honor he is due. They called him something else.
Professing to be wise, they became fools.
It's an exchange. Professing themselves wise, they became fools. Suppressing the truth, exchanging God for something else, is exchanging wisdom for foolishness.
and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for an image in the form of corruptible man, and of birds and four-footed animals and crawling creatures.
They changed their image of God, see?
Right.
They concocted a kind of trans God in their minds, and they worshiped him, or her, or it. A God that is part man, part God, part turtle, part snake, part hawk, part woman, etc.
Therefore, God gave them over in the lusts of their hearts to impurity, so that their bodies would be dishonored among them. For they exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
Therefore, or because of this, because they had disfigured the body of God, in a sense, God would give them over to their desire to disfigure their own bodies. They're mutilators of flesh. They're mad scientists stitching body parts together in their depravity.
For this reason, God gave them over to degrading passions.
Then Paul goes back and reiterates why this is happening, why they are dishonoring and disfiguring themselves, because they have dishonored and, in a manner of speaking, disfigured God in their minds.
For their women exchanged the natural function for that which is unnatural. And in the same way, also the men abandoned the natural function of the woman, and burned in their desire toward one another, men with men, committing indecent acts, and receiving in their own persons the due penalty of their error. And just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God any longer, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do those things which are not proper.
Do you see how what a person believes about God is manifested in their own bodies, in their own thoughts, in their own actions? It has been well said that the most important thing about a person is what they believe about God. So this exchange of the natural for the unnatural, of the male for the female, is a direct result of how these people perceive God. It is the logical outworking of that perception. It is not the cause of the perception, but its effect.
Being filled with all unrighteousness, wickedness, greed, evil, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, unmerciful.
Wow.
And although they know the ordinance of God, that those who practice such things are worthy of death, they not only do the same, but also give hearty approval to those who practice them.
This is depraved, disordered thinking, and they won't be content to be alone in their disordered thinking. They need everyone else to join in so they don't feel so depraved and disordered. They are trying to exchange disorder for order the same way they switch their private parts around. And they need us to participate, but we must not, Paul says, because we are those who do not suppress the truth of God, but those in whom the truth bubbles up and over and gushes out like a wellspring of water in the desert. If a person has exchanged the truth for a lie, it is because they have exchanged God for a lie, and I cannot affirm that. We cannot affirm that. We cannot affirm the image of God they've concocted. When a man says he wants to be called she or her, if you could look into his mind, you'd see a grotesque, misshapen Frankenstein of a God stitched together with all kinds of ghastly things. And what the man is asking you to do really is to affirm that God. That is the argument Paul is making. What they do is evidence of the God they believe in, and we must not affirm such a thing. We would no more affirm that than we would any of the other fruits of this suppression of truth that Paul lists here.
Greed, evil, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, unmerciful.
If a person had exchanged mercy for hate, we wouldn't go along with that, would we? I mean, if a person passed by a homeless man sleeping on the street and kicked him in the face and you said, "Hey, what are you doing?" and they said, "Just showing that guy some mercy," you wouldn't be like, "Oh, well, you say mercy, I say tomato. Live and let live, I say. Coexist, peace out." No, we would call them on it. That is not mercy, we would say. We cannot participate in this kind of disordered thinking. We cannot, because we are those whose minds have been ordered by the Lord. Now, we must be loving, we must be polite, we must be respectful. As the three Hebrews in Daniel, they were respectful of the king, respectful of the law. but they could not obey it. Likewise, we must not participate in disordered thinking.
Get that in your spirit.
All right, now to the comments. We got several.
All right, and I forgot he reads some comments. I thought they were actually pretty good, so I'm gonna let him read those out. But before we go too far afield, I do want to just point out, I thought that was really encouraging. Just another way to look at it, like, why do we not use preferred pronouns? I saw someone earlier mention J.D. Greer. The reason we don't do that is because we're not liars. We're not recreating or making God in our own image, so we can't do that. So I know J.D. Greer, what he said, he was wrong. He was wrong. No, they're not dusty comments. They're actually pretty good ones so far. But I'm gonna let Donnie share with you said comments. Let's go.
Comments on the Bible trivia quiz we did. Lisa from Indiana says, I was able to answer most of your questions in 5 seconds. For the others, after you said the answer, I said to myself, yes, I knew that. Well, that's the thing about trivia questions. We generally know all the answers. We have the answer in our minds. It's getting your mind to access that information. So as soon as the answer is given, your mind goes, oh yeah, I knew that. So knowledge is not so much, it's my cat. I got a cat. I don't know if you see the cat there. It wasn't my idea. It was my daughter's. But anyway, a big part of knowledge is not so much having the information, but being able to access that information. I mean, it does no good to have the information if you can't access it. Sherry Rouse says, good questions. I missed 2. I need to point out a correction on one. The Israelites marched around Jericho 13 times, once a day for 6 days, then 7 times on the 7th day. I had said that the answer was 7. When I was referring to like the big, like the end, you know, the big, like finale or whatever. But a point taken. I should have been more clear in the question. Harold Smith says, I just love your videos. I'll be coming to your town first week of October, vacationing in the mountains. Wonder where some private lakes or ponds. My boys are major anglers. Well, as it happens, we got a pond on the family farm in Seville, and we just stocked it with smallmouth bass and bluegill. They should be ready to catch about October, so I'll hit you up on that. Next up, we have the Tiger Pulpit with Pastor Glenn. Wow, brother, thank you for that bearable content. It was certainly mediocre, very middle of the road. I definitely might watch again sometime. I had said in the other video that this might not be great content, but I can guarantee it will be bearable content. That's pretty funny. Tamara Abbas says, great work, sir. Gobsmacking blasphemy from Brandon Robinson. I must say, a very thoughtful, thought-provoking info on consensus science, and love the ads and messages from the sponsors. Got probably 80% of the Bible trivia right. That was great. All around great show. I only read that comment because I never pass up an opportunity to say gobsmack.
You speak English pretty well for a Martian.
All right, so that was it. That was show number 2. Hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with more extremely bearable content for your viewing ambivalence. Now I'm going to go get myself some of that free ice cream before it all runs out. God bless y'all.
All right, so that was Donnie. He's a good friend of mine on the channel, on these YouTube suburbs. I don't actually know him personally, but good brother. And I thought it would be good to give him a little shout out because he does some great work, man. He really does great work. So sorry about that. I want to pull up now. Next, all right, here we go. Next, we got an interesting one. If you've been keeping up with one Mr. Chad Jackson, I want to, if you're not familiar with Chad O. Jackson, I'll drop his link down in the chat while we're watching this. But he did an episode yesterday, he did episode Sunday on Black excellence. And we've talked about this before. whenever you add a modifier to a term, especially a color modifier to a term, a lot of the time the first word gains its power while the second word loses any semblance of what it meant. So we're going to pull this up, check it out. Yeah, I think that was Family Ties he was using. I think it was. I don't know. Donnie likes to use a lot of old school commercials, old school videos. Was it? Okay, so it's Family Ties. What show did that come from? I know it. Family Ties. No, not Family Ties. It's the Hogan family. Man, y'all are here fighting about this? The chat is interesting. So we're going to watch a montage of what is Black excellence, and then we're going to listen to Chad actually explain it out. Oh, man. Q and Willie Doc are fighting about what show it was. I don't know, and I have no idea. I can't believe y'all. I can't take y'all anywhere. That's why we can see. Can't even have nice things, man. That's why we can't have nice things. All right. What song? So what song was that? Was that the right one? I don't know. All right.
Throughout our history, Black Americans have, with great ingenuity and imagination, created a world with its own values and rules. A world defined by unfettered racial self-expression.
Black joy means being in a safe space and feeling free, where you can really be yourself and shed that skin.
Wherever you have a large concentration of African Americans, you have business districts that rise up, that meet the needs in these communities.
I constantly am thinking about what it means to occupy my identities. I do surround myself with Blackness.
As long as race counts in America, Black networks and institutions will always matter.
Black is me. Black is you. Black is not something we get to choose, but it is something we get to cherish. It's something we get to wear, and we get to rock this with honor. I'm Black like my granddaddy and my great-great-great-great-grandma. Black is that lift every voice and sing. Black is that letting your freedom ring and resound. Black is adjective, adverb, color, and noun. You so black. Ooh, you so black. When you smile, the stars come out. Baby, you so black. When you're born, the God come out.
My name is Terry. That's my twin. Oh, yeah. BCU's also where I take. Oh, it's therapy, bio, and medicine. Let's get it. Whew. Black excellence. Come on.
Black dude, educated, standing when I walk up in the building like a villain. Currently in school to be a dentist. Orthodontist about to make a killing. 3.7 and you think that I'm a felon? Nah, man, I ain't never been convicted. No. Trying to go to school to save lives. But you probably think I'm out here killing. But you probably think I'm out here stealing. But you probably think I'm out here dealing. When I put that do-rag on, now you look at me like I'm a villain. Move to the left a little. Word. Pull up. Play the fiddle. Hey. Up. 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 Walk. Walk. Yes. If you let me see you wave your hand when the devil said no. God said Avengers! Assemble.
Never before have there been anyone that went through what we went through, slavery, discrimination, the whole thing, and then we opt for education over liberation. Now, y'all play with that if you want. Liberation is close to the universal God. Education, any fool can put that book together. Y'all can sit there with all your PhDs on. George Washington didn't beat up the damn British. for the right to build a college, they was getting liberated. Then once you liberate, you build the college to what you like it to be.
We just had an issue with Monique telling black women to stop wearing bonnets in public because somehow that's gonna solve all these other issues that it doesn't. They will still fail to recognize the totality of the system because that will require a complete reframing of the world from their perspective, especially if that perspective is at the top of the black food chain.
Is the concept of black excellence inherently anti-black? Yes, because I think in its current iteration, it's so focused in capitalism, it's so focused in being better than everybody that exists in the space, that like, that to me is something that puts pressure on us that we don't need.
I don't know white people in America, white media execs, know how challenging it is to have 4 black men who represents 4 different aspects of black manhood, masculinity, right? Non-binary, sit up here, come from different lived experiences in an all predominantly white room, right? With our contracts possibly being considered, right? Brand a future contract outside of here, future work, right? And have to be able to have this hard conversation. This isn't easy. And to know we did it with such grace, elegance, intellect, beauty, blackness, we leaned in. We weren't afraid to say black man or non-binary or female presenting. Like, I love all of that.
I'm sorry for the men who are tired of being men. God has carefully made you and fixed you just right, and you're trying to change it. Let men be men. If you're not going to be men, braid your hair and start wearing step-ins. Men, I want God to make me a better man. It keeps me from being jealous of others. It keeps me from being lost in pride when I know there's something else I could do. More growth, more power, more strength. Lord, make me a better man.
You're not lazy, you're just tired. Black excellence really just mirrors capitalistic ideals. So it went from being like, I am inherently worthy to, oh, now I'm earning my wealth, right? Now you have the exceptional blacks, and then you have like the regular low blacks like me, right? The regular black folks who, you know, don't have $1 billion or don't have multi-million-dollar businesses, who don't have a bunch of college degrees. It really is like separating, like, oh, I'm coming out of this low place. Now I'm having access to this high place.
It really ends up being some Ayn Randian type shit where the best of the best and like do y'all thing are being able to do what they're doing because we are basically throwing away the people that need the most help in our own community.
We all can't be Black excellence. You see what I'm saying? Like if the idea that only the people who have access to these high things or these things that normal like laymen don't have access to, then where does that lead 99.9% of the Black folk? You know what I mean? Like where does that put us? If someone becomes a billionaire, right? Let's say Rihanna, because she just became a billionaire. If she became a billionaire and she's like, you know what? I'm giving away most of my money, right, to the Black community. We all win, right? We can all be Black excellence. But the problem is that's not happening. Like that's not happening.
I was told to go to college, get a good government job, retire, right? It didn't really work out that way. All I have to show for this degree is debt. My degree was actually in deaf studies, like ASL, American Sign Language, and a lot of the jobs that I was qualified for were very entry level, they were very service provider focused, and so a lot of service positions, like the helper positions, don't make a lot of money. People who work in social work don't make a lot of money. They were not trying to pay me nothing, okay? I know that hard work does not always pay off. It hardly ever pays off, especially if you're a Black person, Black woman in America.
I'm out of it. I'm not playing this game anymore at the risk of being called, all types of names like lazy or communist or whatever you want to call me. That's fine. I'm still going to have my peace and I'm still going to make my decision. I'm not opting to play their game when it wasn't meant for me to play it in the first place.
If you don't work, you don't eat. And that's the motto of our school. Near lunchtime, every child will say, if you don't work, you don't eat. And I think really school should be a minute society where children learn to function in a larger world. It seems now that school becomes more or less just a bypassing thing that children have to go to until you're a certain age, instead of really making them love school and love learning, where they become lifters and not leaners in the world. Because every man who lifts feels better than the man who leans. If there's prejudice or whatever, and I say to our children, that's that person's problem. When you become part of the problem, then you're a problem too. You must all be universal so that you can function any place, not just here in your neighborhood, but as citizens like Socrates, as citizens of the what? Of the world.
I've always been of the opinion of, like, how much of myself do I have to lose to fit in? For some, like, how often do I have to tap dance to do the thing to make somebody else feel good about my just existence?
Making it means assimilating upwards into whiteness. And so that's why Black excellence is a farce, because it's all about how can we become more white adjacent, because we'll never be white.
We need to reimagine what the concept of Black excellence is, and just waking up, taking care of your children, or just taking care of your day-to-day chores that you have as an adult. Like, just, like, all of that is tough by itself. How often do we talk about how ghetto life is, and how it's giving, like, oh, I had no idea that it was all, like, it's a lot. And I think that we need to give ourselves more grace, and we need to kind of reimagine and think about what we deem as excellent and Black excellence.
The church must go deeper than partisan politics and deal with the peril and the problem that confronts us. It is a moral problem. The federal constitution welds us together as a fellowship of trust and honesty. Our hope is then to get released in America the moral principles and techniques of Jesus Christ. He has the answer.
All right. Before we have Cowboy Slim jump in. All right. So this was a montage that Chad put together of various people discussing Black excellence. And you may have noticed that some of them seem to jive with what you understood or what you believe. So maybe you believe that it's just us celebrating people of high melanin, celebrating getting stuff done. Or maybe you think that it's one of those others. So Chad is going to explain it, why he put the montage together like he did. And I do want to encourage you. I think somebody mentioned that they actually saw the actual panel discussion. Chad does some pretty long lives, so the thing was like 3.5 hours long. But I do think it would be worth you taking the time to listen to it. And I'll drop the link down in the chat, or if Kiana wants to drop it, or one of the moderators wants to drop it down in the chat, that would be great. But let's let Cowboy Slim come back in and talk to us about why he did it like he did it.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Culture. I am Chad O. Jackson, and it's good to be here. It's good to be back on this Sunday evening, especially diving into this particular subject, which I'm sure will be a complex subject. As you saw at the beginning of the montage, you see all these people kind of placating excellence, calling it Black excellence, and then at the latter half of the montage, you see these kind of woke communist types who are denouncing Black excellence and saying that we should basically redefine Black excellence to just mean mediocrity because life is hard enough. And so that therein lies the complexity of it all in my mind, and I'm looking forward to hearing Chuck and Keisha and Blanche's take on this this evening. But when you look at just to kind of preface the show, when I look at this thing called Black excellence, which to me doesn't exist at all, I would chop it up into 3 tiers. of Black Americans. You have those who are consciously communist, who you saw in the latter half of that montage. You have those who are unconsciously communist, and then you have those who are saved. And all of those look at this thing called Black excellence in different ways, generally speaking. Those who are unconsciously communist believe that there's nothing wrong with kind of playing a part and kind of being overly excited about something that you should be doing anyway, like getting a job, right? And then you have people who are consciously communist, like the guy you saw with the dreadlocks, like the short-haired woman, who are conflating this thing called Black excellence, which doesn't exist, with excellence writ large, with, you know, meritocracy. And they're saying that because one has to work and basically scratch the earth to make a living, that is evidence of the fact that of some kind of unfairness. And because that's unfair, we necessarily need to rejigger the system, to put it in Chuck's words, to make it more livable for Black folks, lazy people, you know, whatever the case may be.
All right. And that was the end of that. I do want to commit to you Chad O. Jackson's YouTube channel, because I think he really does a great job of explaining this and teasing it out. I will admit, I called Chad yesterday. I said, man, bruh, you got to start giving a warning, man. Like, you got to give a warning, man. We don't know. I didn't know where he was coming from. I didn't know where he was going with that thing. But it was definitely worth watching. So I do want to encourage you. I'm going to drop the link in here as well. If you're not familiar with Chad, he's also the young man that is responsible for Uncle Tom 1 as well as Uncle Tom 2. And Q dropped the link in the chat. Thank you so very much, Kiana. Please forgive me for that, for not recognizing that. Check it out. I really think you'll get something good. It was a long discussion, but I think it was very wise, very measured, and very edifying. At the end of the day, Christ was exalted, not excellence, not Black excellence, but Christ was exalted. So I do think you'll get something good out of it. So definitely check it out. And that is it. All right, good people. We're right at an hour. So I wanted to make sure I had everything fixed, make sure everything worked right, since I've been doing some moving things around here as well at the house studio. But if you have a question, drop it down in the chat. You know how I like to do that. Drop it down in the chat with the big question mark on it. And sorry about that. Drop it down in the chat like that. There we go. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have or anything that you're interested in. I would love to talk with you about it. And if not, we can get up out of here and enjoy our Tuesday night. But I do want to thank everybody who's followed me on the various socials. I'll actually drop those in here as well. Here's my socials for Dear Woke Christian. If you're interested in following or you're not already following Podium Studios, which is my content creator studio that I have started here in the Metro Atlanta area, I'd love for you to check it out. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Sorry, I'm reading something. Sorry. Hopefully that means what we did with this. Keep doing it. Oh, okay. Whew. Okay, so I think I figured it out prayerfully. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much. Yeah, some of those where the video was out of sync, I have no idea what that was about. That's so craziness. All right, so who got blacklisted from The View? Who actually wants to go on The View? Like, for real talk. Who actually is trying to go on The View? Who's doing that? Who's actually going there? Thank you so much, Angel Wings. I appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much for following. You've given a lot of good insights, so thank you so very much for hanging out with us tonight. Question: how do you send? How did I send my mom a voicemail? Easy. I just sent her a voicemail. because she's going to pick up my daughter from school tomorrow. So actually, thank you for that. I need to text her a reminder. That was it. Thank you. That's how I sent my mom to voicemail. But she might be in the chat. I don't know, man. She might be in there checking me out. I ain't sent her there on purpose. Come on now. All right. Got it. But thank y'all so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all for taking the time. Hang out with me tonight. I know it's Tuesday. Definitely something new. We don't usually do that on Tuesdays. But I thank you so much for nonetheless hanging out with me. Thank you for your insight and all that kind of stuff. Thanks, Willie Doc. I'm glad it was fun. Thank you so very much. What you mean, Shara? Who is the next channel that I'm looking at? All right. That's a good question. That's a great question. All right. So I'm working on my 24 for 24. I came up with that idea on a video. I said, I'm going to do 24 YouTubers. There's a lot of really good channels, I have to admit. So I'm looking at them, and I don't actually have who I'm going to look at next, but I figured Donnie and Chad couldn't go wrong with those two. And I saw some really good edifying stuff on there. And I said I would bring it up today to share with you all. That's a great question. I don't know who it'll be next. I'll give you a heads up though before I do. Maybe to do like a thumbnail or something, kind of give you a hint. So I don't know. That's a great question though. Thank you. Eric, I appreciate you. Thank you all very much. Everybody who's gone to liking my videos, who's gone to Podium Studios and checked out their videos as well. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, because it does mean a lot. It's very encouraging to interact with you all and see. Yes, you did email me one, Mary. Thank you. You did. And I think Mary has already told me what she wants. Mary wants me to give her that video, and I'm going to do that. So I did get that. You are correct. Let me make sure I save that. Make sure it's in my, put a star by it. I remember exactly. Oh, it's such a busy week. I can't believe it's only Tuesday. I cannot believe it's only Tuesday. Amazing. Question from Kiana Shaw, my favorite Kiana Shaw. So now you think you are the Duchess of Sussex with your ex in this? What are you talking about? Oh my goodness, what are you talking about, Q? I don't even know what the Duchess of Sussex is. What are you talking about? I pray for you more. I need to pray for you more. All right, I got you saved. I got you, Mary. I got you. I ain't forget about you. But I also wanted to make sure I had 24 for my 24 episode. But yeah, I will talk about them. Absolutely. I appreciate it. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what she's talking about. Man, look, let me tell you, Willie Doc. I don't know what Q talking about. Y'all pray for Q. Stretch your keyboards toward Q. Put your keyboard toward her. Just pray for her. I don't know what she be talking about. Anyway, so we got that. I want to thank y'all again. I'm going to probably keep putting out the shorts that I've been putting out this week. And I'm going to get back to some regular content, I promise you. But I have to admit, a lot of this has been working over here at the studio has been a lot more than I thought. We got some new microphone arms today. We did a whole bunch of cable management because our cables were kind of all over the floor. We don't want to trip and kill people. So it was a lot. And I was like, man, I am tired already. And we had to do a recording. So it was a lot. But God is going to be glorified. So good stuff happens. She had a 40 by 40 for her 40th birthday. You trying to do 24 by 24. Oh, I got you. Well, let me just let you know, I am not 24 years old. But I like that. Okay, I like that. 24 by 24. I like that. I can dig that. Maybe I'll use like the 24 theme, the little the show 24. Maybe I'll do that. Interesting. Okay, I'll keep working on it. Anyway, good people, I want to thank y'all so much for hanging out with me tonight. I'm wrapping this up so y'all can get home and do whatever you're gonna do on a Tuesday. What are you crazy kids doing on Tuesday? I'm gonna go check out the Dangerous Crew and my wife. But I want to thank y'all again for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. If you email me or text me or get at me in tweets or comment on my videos, all that kind of stuff like that. I just want to say thank you so much. Oh, it's all good, Mary. It is all good in the hood. It is all good. I want to thank you all so much for everything that you all do, because you all make it possible. You all make it fun, and we do this for you all. So I want to thank you all very much for all of that. So get some rest. Get ready for Willie Doc's got to get up in the morning and go to work and keep people healthy. I appreciate it. I thank you all again for everything. Check out in the description, I'll leave Donnie's video and his channel, as well as Chad O. Jackson's video as well. Thank y'all so much, everybody. I appreciate you. Until next time, everybody, grace and peace. We're out.